Hope that you're well and also that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 8 English lesson on vague pronoun reference. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts, grade 8. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of vague pronoun references. All right. So our chapter is vague pronoun reference. Our subject is English language arts, grade 8. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of vague pronoun reference is to identify vague pronoun references, and to identify all the possible antecedents. All right. So when it comes to vague pronoun reference, if you already look at the word vague, right? So if you look at the word vague, before even going to pronouns, because remember a pronoun, it basically takes the place of a noun. But look at the meaning of the word vague. So vague is almost like it's something that is uncertain or indefinite, or it's something that it can be unclear, right? So when something is unclear or it's not, it's uncertain or it's indefinite, right? they're actually saying that we need to try and avoid that. So vague pronoun references, we need to try and avoid, let's say, pronouns or pronoun references that are not clear, that is indefinite, or that is uncertain, right? And when writing, we need to make sure to avoid these vague pronoun references. We need to avoid uncertain or unclear references. And a vague pronoun reference, right? It occurs when a pronoun, it refers to when a pronoun could could be more than one person or antecedent. So we said when we write, when we are writing, think of when you're writing an essay, right? I think the best example would be like something that you can think of is when writing essays, right? If you were to write an essay or you have to write like a review on something, right? And then they're telling us to avoid just having vague pronoun references, right? Try to avoid having indefinite, uncertain pronoun references, or even avoid unclear references because that is what they're basically telling us. And they're telling us that a vague pronoun reference, it happens or occurs when a pronoun could refer to more than one possible antecedent. And remember, a pronoun, it takes the place of a noun, right? And our pronouns are words like him, her, she, they, their, its or it, them, um, those are basically pronouns, right? So, which means that if we have a vague pronoun reference, right, then it means that it can refer to more than one possible antecedent. Our antecedent is like saying it is our subject, basically. It's like the person or thing that the pronoun is referring to. And if we look at an example over here, when Lisa and Kim finally landed, she breathed a sigh of relief. We are making mention of two people within the sentence, which is Lisa and Kim. Both of them finally landed, both of them arrived at the airport. They basically just got off a plane, right? And it says that when they arrived, or when they landed basically at the airport, it says she breathed a sigh of relief. But now the question is, who are we specifically talking about? Are we referring to Lisa that breathed a sigh of relief, or are we talking about Kim that breathed a sigh of relief? And that is what we mean when we say that this is a vague pronoun reference. And we need to try and avoid this vague pronoun reference. Because if we are referring to Lisa and Kim, right, then we rather say they breathe a sigh of relief, referring to both of them, right? So we need to basically either make mention of both of them by choosing the correct pronoun, but the word she, right, is a vague pronoun reference because she can either refer to Lisa or breathe a sigh of relief, or it can refer to Kim who breathed a sigh of relief, which means that this is a vague pronoun reference. It is unclear or it is indefinite within this sentence, indefinite within that sentence. And we can correct our pronoun references, right? Or our vague pronoun references. We can correct it in two ways. So there's two ways in which we can basically correct our vague pronoun references. The first way is to replace the pronoun with the correct antecedent, right? By saying, for example, when Lisa and Kim finally landed, Lisa breathed a sigh of relief. So, which means that our antecedent is Lisa and Kim. And in order for us to make sense and to correct and to avoid having a vague pronoun reference, right? We want it to be clear and definite, right? Then it means that we are going to replace our pronoun, which is she, for example, with the correct antecedent that we are, for example, talking about. So since Lisa and Kim landed, right, we are going to say when Lisa and Kim finally landed, Lisa, we are making mention of Lisa, breathed a sigh of relief. Not she, because she can refer to any one of them. We are making mention of Lisa only. Unless we said Lisa and James finally landed. She breathed a sigh of relief. Now we know she refers back to Lisa because Lisa's a girl. But if it's making mention of two girls, right? And then we need to we need to either replace that pronoun with the correct antecedent to avoid a vague pronoun reference, to avoid it being unclear or to avoid the indefinite of that sentence. Another way in which we can basically, let's say, correct our vague pronoun reference is by rewriting the sentence. So we can rewrite the sentence. And when we rewrite the sentence, then it says Lisa breathed a sigh of relief when she and Kim finally landed. So, which means that this word she refers to Lisa. Now, our pronoun refers to Lisa because now they're making mention of, they've added Kim's name again. Because now we are changing the wording of the sentence. So instead of saying Lisa and Kim finally landed, we are now saying Lisa breathed a sigh of relief. It's like we are changing it. Lisa breathed a sigh of relief when she and Kim finally landed, which means that the she refers to Lisa. All right, so a vague pronoun reference, right? It also occurs when we use words like they, them, their, theirs, it, or its is used without an antecedent. So if we use the pronouns they, them, their, theirs, it, or its without an antecedent, without the person or thing that we're talking about, right? Then it means that it is unclear or it's indefinite. That sentence doesn't make sense. For example, they say that this nail polish dries in less than 5 minutes. They say that this nail polish dries in less than 5 minutes, which means that this pronoun, they, it is used without an antecedent. So, which means that that sentence is not clear. And we can fix that problem, right? By replacing this pronoun, which is they, with a missing antecedent. And an antecedent can be a person, a place, a thing, organization, right? And if we replace the word they, and then we can say the advertisements say that that this nail polish dries in less than 5 minutes. So now we need to ask ourselves, who says that? It's the advertisements. If you just say they can be anybody. They can be the people in the street. They can be the experts, can be the advertisements, can be anyone or anything, right? But if you are making mention of something or someone specific, and then it means that we are avoiding the vague pronoun reference. We're avoiding having vague references. All right, so now we're going to a plus students.ca, and we are going to do our chapter of vague pronoun reference. So now we're going to a plus students.ca. We're going to identify the vague pronoun reference. All right, and we made mention of what a vague pronoun reference is, and we also said how we can fix a vague pronoun reference. We said we can fix a vague pronoun reference by either rewriting that whole sentence, or we can fix a vague pronoun reference by replacing the pronoun with its correct antecedent, right? And we need to make sure that we avoid a vague pronoun reference at all costs, because a vague pronoun reference occurs when a pronoun could refer to more than one possible antecedent. All right. So now let's go to our test. We're going to our test where we are going to say which of the following contains a vague pronoun reference. It says this they say that diesel cars have better fuel economy than cars powered by gasoline, or experts say that diesel cars have better fuel economy than cars powered by gasoline. And if we were to choose we need to say which sentence contains the vague pronoun reference, then we would say it's option one. Because instead of saying they, which is just random because it doesn't have an antecedent, we could have said experts, but we said they. And that does not have an antecedent. All right, the next one says, which of the following contains a vague pronoun reference? It says, option one says, when Jake tackled Tim during the football game, his arm was injured. Or do we say when Jake tackled Tim during the football game, Tim's arms was injured or were injured? All right, and if we were to choose the vague pronoun reference, and then we will say option one is our vague pronoun reference because it says when Jake tackled Tim during the football game, his arm was injured. We don't know if it was Jake's arm that was injured or Tim's arm that was injured because him or his is basically refers to a boy or a man, and both Jake and Tim is a man. So it wasn't being specific. All right, the next one says, which is a vague pronoun reference. It says the protesters want them to raise salaries and increase employment benefits, Or do we say the protesters want the company's executives to raise salaries and increase employment benefits? We need to choose the correct, not even the correct, we need to choose the vague pronoun reference. All right, so if we were to choose the vague pronoun reference, we would say the protesters want them, because now the question is who is them, right? Who is them to raise salaries and increase employment benefits, right? So them is our vague pronoun reference. All right, the next one says, which of the following contains a pronoun reference? It says, after Mr. Ellison finished performing with Mr. Watson, Maria went up and thanked him. Or option two, which says, after Mr. Ellison finished performing with Mr. Watson, Maria went up and thanked Mr. Ellison. So we need to choose the correct, not even the correct, but we need to choose the vague pronoun reference. All right. And if we were to choose the vague pronoun reference, and then we would say that after Mr. Ellison finished performing with Mr. Watson, Maria went up and thanked him. We don't know if it's Mr. Ellison that Maria thanked or Mr. Watson that Maria thanked. And that is why we say that that is a vague pronoun reference because it doesn't give us a clear and direct indication of who Maria went to thank because both Mr. Ellison as well as Mr. Watson were performing. So option one is correct. All right, the next one says we need to say which one contains a vague pronoun reference. It says the airline The airline lost Lisa's baggage when she flew to Hawaii with her sister last month. Or option two, which says the airline lost Lisa's baggage when she flew to Hawaii last month. We need to choose the vague pronoun reference. All right, so if we were to choose the vague pronoun reference, or to say which one contains a vague pronoun reference, right? Then we will say it's option two. And it says the airline lost Lisa's baggage when she flew to Hawaii last month. Doesn't say with who, so it's not being specific. Oh, so it's actually the first option. I apologize. So it's actually the first option, not the second one. All right. Let us go to the next one. The next sentence is we're going to identify all the possible antecedents. Remember the possible antecedents, right? Or it's like saying it's giving someone's name, right? It's telling us who or what, right? Our pronoun is usually referring to. All right. And once again, we say that when writing, we need to make sure to avoid the vague pronoun references, right? And we said a vague pronoun reference, it occurs when a pronoun could refer to more than one possible antecedent, and we can then also fix our possible antecedents, right? Our vague, let's say our vague pronoun antecedents. All right, so when writing, make sure to avoid vague pronoun references. And a vague pronoun reference occurs when a pronoun could refer to more than one possible antecedent, can just refer to one name, one person like Nadine, or it can be Nadine and Kim, Lisa and Kim, right? And we can either fix our pronoun references by correcting it, right? By replacing either the pronoun with the correct antecedent or by rewriting that sentence completely in order to make sense. All right. If we look at this activity, right, it says, have you ever played with Rubik's Cubes? It is a 3D puzzle invented by Ern Rubik in 1974. So here it says, select the correct antecedent of the vague pronoun sentence. And if we look at that, basically the vague pronoun reference, then it's basically just going to be Rubik's Cube. Because it's not literally telling us properly what or who we are talking about or making mention of, right? All right. So yeah, it says that the text that they gave us was, have you ever played with a Rubik's Cube? It is a 3D puzzle invented by Ern Rubik in 1974. And yet it says we had to look at the text, right? It says it does not contain a vague pronoun reference. The pronoun has one clear antecedent, and the antecedent of it is Rubik's Cube. All right, let us go to our test. We need to choose the antecedent. Remember the antecedent, it's like giving the name of a person, basically, right? It tells us either who or what we are actually talking about. All right, so it says Steve signed up for the turkey trot with his brother, and he was surprised when he came in first. So we need to select the correct antecedent of the vague pronoun within the sentence. So Steve signed up for the turkey trot with his brother and was surprised when he came in first. So we need to select the antecedent. Is it he or is it Steve? Remember the antecedent, not the pronoun. And remember, we said that the pronoun takes the place of a noun. And if we were to choose the antecedent, then it's going to be Steve. All right, the next one says Rebecca made mint chocolate chip ice cream with her sister, even though she generally prefers fruit flavored sorbet. We need to select the correct antecedent of the vague pronoun within the sentence. Is it Rebecca or is it she? Rebecca or she? And if we were to choose the correct one, we would choose Rebecca because Rebecca is our antecedent. The next one says in the late 1800s, Nellie Bly was known for her newspaper reports about the poor working conditions women faced. We need to select our antecedent. Is it her or is it Nellie Bly? All right, and if we were to choose the correct one, then we would say it is Nellie Bly. And Nellie Bly is our correct antecedent. The last one says, have you ever played with a Rubik's Cube? It is a 3D puzzle invented by Rubik in 1974. And if we choose the correct one, we will choose Rubik's Cube because that is who or what we are talking about. All right, so that is the end of our lesson on vague pronoun references. Remember, we said our vague pronoun references, it means that if our pronoun or our sentence is unclear, right? And we can even fix it by either rewriting the sentence or by either replacing our pronoun with an antecedent, right? So this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade 8, for joining the class. And I really hope that you're going to have a good evening further. Goodbye.